That's my theme song. Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not. I just recorded 2 minutes and 50 seconds of this video before realizing that I not only was not live in Discord, but also wasn't recording. So today's my day. We're doing a story time video, and I'm live in Discord as well. So if you see me or hear me talking to people that you don't see in this video, like they're fan. It's just, I'm pretty sure you're used to it by now. If this is your first Storytime video, here's what we do. I am recording this book today. It's called Clean Start at 47 by Nora Phoenix. Nora was writing omega shifter kind of things where dudes got pregnant and had triplets and stuff. Then she was she was writing the White House men, where guys work in the White House but secretly fuck in the Lincoln bedroom. But now, now what she's doing is she's writing stories about 47-year-old recovering addicts, which leads me to believe that I've inspired Nora in some way, shape, or form. Except that 47 is way too old for me. I'm only 44, and I would date younger chicks, except Jody doesn't let me date anymore. Besides that, though, I'm kind of invested and interested in this story, and I try and line it up so that we record our story time with they call it the meet cute. I don't know what that means. I think it's something about salami. But this is on chapter 3, so there's going to be spoilers ahead. If you don't want this book spoiled, don't listen any further than this. If you don't mind, or if you don't mind hearing like the first meet cute scene, which is really early in the book, this one's for you. Getting set up here now. You can see, if you haven't seen a story time before, you can see what I'm seeing up here on this screen, kind of, sort of. It's just kind of a representation. And you will, because this is a live studio session. I mean, even though it's not actually live, we're recording this, and we're going to put it up on YouTube, and you can watch it later. But you get my point. I'm going to fuck up, and I'm going to do it a lot. Normally, I try and correct it myself, but sometimes, because I'm not very bright, I have this gal. Her name's Trace. She's my lovely TNA, and she will correct me when I'm wrong. Say hi, Trace.
Hi, Trace.
Look at that. This works a lot better when I'm in Discord and you're actually here with me. Here we go.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it does. Please start. Yeah, Mr. Muno, my wife does not let me date. She's mean like that. Did I tell you guys the whole story with the nail in the head thing? We'll talk about that later. Needless to say, if I have a bruise on my head, it's because my wife threw a TV controller and nailed me straight on my bald. I don't even have padding up here now. I got nothing to stop the bruising that happens when wives, and then she hit me with a shoe. I didn't deserve it at all, Cheryl. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. So here we go. The setup for this is Kinsey and Jalopy or whatever is Ben. Ben works at a gym, and Kenzie's going in, and he's going to do his first workout in the gym, I think. Chapter 3. Kenzie. Hi, Mr. Lindstrom. Benoni Healy. He'd been coming to our house since they were 6th graders, but after that one night, I could never get that image of him out of my head. Balls deep into someone's throat, looking at me in a wordless challenge to speak up and dare to stop him. I didn't. Of course I didn't. I took my scrubs right back out of the washer, got dressed at record speed, and hurried back upstairs. I wasn't even supposed to be at home, having promised Jonathan that his mother and I would spend the night at a hotel, but I'd gotten called into work after a massive pile-up on the 75, and I just stopped by to pick up some clean scrubs for my shift the next day. Big mistake. I've never forgotten that scene. The confident, cocksure way he got himself off. I'd known he was gay. He'd never made a secret of that, but to see him pleasure himself like that was still a shock. And every encounter with him since had been. Pleasure himself like that was still a shock. And every encounter with him since has been awkward. with me stuttering and stumbling and him smiling knowingly and winking at me, though as far as I know, he never spoke a word about it to anyone. No one is at me, though as far as I know, he never spoke a word about it to anyone. Congratulations, Mr. Mudo. You've reached level 13 in Discord. For only $19.95, you can get to level 14. At level 20, I'll show you my cape closet. At level 50, I'll show you something gross. It sounds like this. It sounds like... Jesus, Harry Christ, it's alive! Trace, now I can sample that and I can have it. It's going to be great. Back to that.
Oh, joy.
At me.
Yeah, I know.
Though as far as I know, he never spoke a word about it to anyone. There. At me. Though as far as I know, he never spoke a word about it to anyone. No one ever mentioned it or even hinted at it, so he must have kept it to himself. He's got balls, that one. I clear my throat. I didn't know you worked here. He quirks an eyebrow. If you had, you wouldn't have come here? Probably not, I admit. He studies me for a moment. Why not? Probably not, I admit. He studies me for a moment. Why not? Not because of that one encounter, though that may play a part as well. It may be... It made it hard to see. Go back to that. I admit. He studies me for a moment. Why not? Not because of that one encounter, though that may play a part as well. It made it hard to see him as my son's friend, as a young man, rather than a hot, super sexy guy. But my issues with him now have a different cause. Don't pretend you don't know what went down. I lower my voice. No one needs to overhear this conversation. I'm not pretending at all, but I fail to see what...
Nobody needs to hear over here.
Fine, I'll redo it for you. For a sexy guy. But my issues with him now have a different... For a sexy guy. But my issues with him now have a different cause. For a sexy guy. But my issues with him now have a different cause. Don't pretend you don't know what went down. I lower my voice. Nobody needs to overhear this conversation. I'm not pretending at all, but I fail to see what one has to do with the other. Are you still close with Jonathan? His expression softens. Yes, I mean not as close as we were in school, but we hang out once a month or so. Then there's your answer. I don't want to put you in the middle. He takes a step toward me, the faint smell of his sweat hitting me like a punch to my gut. I appreciate that, and I understand where you're coming from. But don't you think that's a decision I have to make for myself? I'm an adult, Mr. Lindstrom. I may not have your life experience, but I'm not a child anymore either. I chuckle despite the situation. You haven't been a child for a long time, Benoni. His mouth pulls up into a cheeky grin. You're the only one who still calls me by my full name. My mom always did, but to everyone else, I'm Ben. I never liked that abbreviation. You have such a unique name. It seems silly to shorten it to something so generic. My mom picked it. She'd gotten it from some book with baby names she bought for 50 cents at a flea market. My father didn't hang around long enough after he got her pregnant to get a voice, so that was that. Benoni's situation was about as different from Jonathan's as it could get. Money was always an issue, and some of Jonathan's allowance was used to pay for things Benoni couldn't afford, like snacks, eating out, and going to the movies. How's your mom? I ask. He sighs, his face tightening. She passed away last year, right before Thanksgiving. Shit, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Was it the... He nods. The MS got her. She held on as long as she could, but we both knew she wouldn't grow old. Why didn't Jonathan tell me Dory Healy passed away? Then it hit me. Why didn't Jonathan tell me Dory Healy passed away? Then it hits me. November last year. That's when I told Carolyn the truth. We're going to do Carolyn or Caroline?
Caroline.
Way. Then it hits me. November last year. That's when I told Caroline the truth. Things got rough between us, and Jonathan and Judith picked her side. Her case was very aggressive. I'm so sorry. I know you were close with her. She was the best mom I could have ever had. I was lucky to have her in my life as long as I did. We stare at each other until I look away. Is there someone else who could do this first introduction with me? You really don't want me to help you, do you? He sounds hurt, and I sigh as I meet his eyes again. You don't understand. It's embarrassing, okay? Seeing you is a stark reminder of what I lost, of how badly I fucked up. And you have to pick Jonathan's side because he needs you. He shakes his head. No, I don't. Just because we're friends doesn't mean I have to blindly support his choices. He refuses to talk about it, so I don't know anything more than the barest of essentials, and that's not sufficient for me to form an opinion one way or the other. I scoff. I'm a drug addict who came out as gay after 26 years of marriage, breaking his wife's heart. Not sure how many ways you can spin that. See, that one sentence raises so many questions. Breaking his wife's heart. Not sure how many ways you can spin that. See, that one sentence raises so many questions based on what I know about you that I don't even know where to start. Not that you owe me any explanations. One more time. Breaking his wife's heart. Not sure how many ways you can spin that. See, that one sentence raises so many questions based on what I know about you that I don't even know where to start. Not that you owe me any explanation. I'm not here as your son's friend or as your therapist. I'm here as your trainer, and my job is to help you get back into shape. And Mr. Lindstrom, not to be rude, but it appears you could use my help. I rub my eyes, letting out a long sigh. Call me Kinsey. If you're going to tell me I look like crap, at least do it as my equal. He nods slowly. Okay, I can do that. You need help, Kinsey. Because, forgive me, but you do look like crap. It's a far cry from the man I knew years ago. You'll find that there's little left of that man. Mostly because he never existed. He was a role, a mask, being forced to play a part he'd signed up for all those years ago. I can see that. The good news is that you've gotten through the part where you've accepted who you are, right? It may have taken you a while, but you're here now. That's a great first step on the path of reinventing yourself. I frown. Are you sure you're not a therapist? My degree is in sports science, but I minored in psychology. So you get the My degree is in sports science, but I minored in psychology. So you get to reap the benefits from that. Though I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, considering you're a doctor. Was a doctor. I corrected him softly. Was. He furrows his brows.
I correct him softly. Present tense.
Did I tell you yet that I'm not fond of present tense? Considering you're a doctor.
I'm aware.
Was a doctor. I correct him softly. Was. He furrows his brows. Didn't Jonathan tell you? I'm banned from practicing medicine in the state of Florida. The hospital fired me and then took my case to the medical board. They suspended my medical license. His eyes grow big. You lost your job? But you worked there like forever. 15 years as an attending, and before that I did my residency there. But they were right. Being a doctor and a drug addict isn't a good combination. You were high while working? Yes. As much as I want to deny it, it's useless. One Google search will lead him to the truth. The newspapers have written my whole sad story in horrifying detail. Coming clean now saves me the shame of getting caught in yet another lie. So, what do you do for work now? I'm teaching at an online university and writing a textbook on emergency medicine. It's not the same, but at least it's still in my field. He cringes. I'm sorry. Don't be. I deserve all this, and more, probably. I hurt a lot of people, Benoni. Can't just sweep that under the rug. He straightens his shoulders. Maybe, but that's not why you're here. That's not why you need shoulders. Maybe, but that's not why you're here. That's not what you need from me. I cock my head. I wasn't aware I needed anything from you. His eyes begin to sparkle. You may not realize it yet, but you do. I know you may still remember me as a teenager. A flash of that night pops up in my head. His lean lines and tight muscles packed into that sinful pair of Speedos, his body in excellent condition from years of playing soccer, the water droplets still running down his chest, dripping down that six-pack, finding his happy trail which ran south. The way he held that boy's head, the confident thrusts into his mouth, the sheer ecstasy on his face. I swallow. Not exactly the memories I should have of a teenager, though in my defense he was 18 at the time. Barely, but still 18. But I'm really good at my job. I can help you. I can show you how to become fit again, strong, healthy. Because that's why you're here, isn't it? I look down at my scrawny body. What gave it away? So let me help you, he says. He sure isn't deterred by my sarcasm or lack of enthusiasm so far, and his positive attitude is getting to me. Does he really believe I can benefit from his help? With anyone else I would have accepted already, but this is Benoni. It's hard for me to separate Benoni, the trainer, from Benoni, my son's friend. My son's very, very sexy friend, whose body has only gotten more perfect over the years. No wonder with him working in a gym every day. I sigh. What would you advise me? Nothing until we've had a proper intake and I know what your starting point is in terms of health, diet, and exercise. Jerry promised me this, an individual approach based on my needs and baseline, not some generic program that's supposed to be one-size-fits-all. Up until 6 months ago, I was a drug addict who lived on caffeine, opioids, and junk food with the occasional alcohol mixed in. I was overweight, and my only exercise was being on my feet in the ER for 12-hour shifts. He blinks. Then his eyes roam my body, starting at my face and slowly drifting down. You're not overweight now. The opposite, I would say. You're not overweight now. The opposite, I would say. Yes, a detox will do that to you. My body didn't appreciate being deprived of the only way it knew how to cope. How's your eating pattern now? He nudges my shoulder and gestures toward a little sitting area in the corner of the room. Before I know it, we're sitting there and he's taking full inventory of my diet and my feeble attempts to get back in shape. He fires off question after question, and I answer as he scribbles notes on an iPad. Known injuries, he asks. Known injuries, he asks. I point at my scars on my knee. Torn ACL. I had surgery and it's supposedly all healed now, but I haven't put it to the test. That knee was the whole reason I got addicted, but I leave that part out. Finally, he looks up. I think I have it all now. That's quite the thorough intake. I'm told you. I think I have it all now. That's quite the thorough intake. I told you I'm good at my job. So what's your diagnosis, Dr. Healy? I joke, but he's not laughing. We're going to start slow. Very slow. I need to see how your body responds to being active again, especially your knee. So we'll kick things off with 10 minutes on the bike at moderate speed and a light round of weights, followed by some stretching. That actually sounds doable. Okay, as for your diet, I don't need to tell you that if you want to get healthy, it starts with what you eat. So cut out the junk and load up on veggies and lean proteins. I'm sure you know the drill. I like that he's not preaching, but cuts straight to the chase. Of course I know what a healthy, balanced diet looks like. I do. Just gotta get back on that particular horse. We have a dietitian if you should ever want specific advice, but for now, I think you should be good. How often do you think you can come here to train? Well, how often would I need to see some results? 3 times a week would be good, with a day of rest in between. I can do that. I sigh, averting my eyes. It's not like I have any kind of social life. Why not? I look up, frowning. What? Why don't you have a social life? He repeats, his eyes soft. Because most people don't want to be friends with a drug addict? And the friends I had all dropped me like a hot potato when this whole shit show started. He leans back in his chair, crossing his hands between his head. Yeah, that'll work. I had all when this whole shit show started. He leans back in his chair, crossing his hands behind his head. Then you need better friends. We all fuck up at some point, and none of what you did was aimed at them. Huh. I never thought of it that way. They felt hurt that I had never been myself with them, but I hadn't been honest about my sexuality, and, well, some of them preferred not to have a gay friend. Like I said, you need better friends. Your sexuality is your business, and yours alone. You don't owe anyone an explanation whatsoever, other than, in this case, your wife. Your ex-wife now, I suppose. And people who don't like gay friends aren't the kind of friends you need in your life. That's toxicity. And people who don't like gay friends aren't the kind of friends you need in your life. That's toxicity. Why can't I say toxicity? Toxic. Toxicity. That's how I'll get it. And people who don't like gay friends aren't the kind of friends you need in your life. That's toxicity you can do without. Damn it, I did it too. And people who don't like gay friends aren't the kind of friends you need in your life. That's toxicity you can... God damn it. That's junk you can do without. And people who don't like gay friends aren't the kind of friends you need in your life. That's toxicity you can do without. I'd 10 times rather have a drug addict as a friend than someone who believes I'm an abomination for simply existing. When did Benoni Healy get this wise? I've always thought of him as a bit of a player, a fuckboy. This is a whole new side to him. Anyway, he checks his watch. Let's get started. I have an hour before my shift ends. On the bike you go. I'll never in a million years admit it out loud, but I find his bossy tone extremely hot. And that would be it for Chapter 3 of Clean Start at 47 by Nora Phoenix. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Love you to death. I'm going to play my theme song one last time so you don't forget me.
Pain us.
I enjoy that a lot. Have fun, y'all. I will see you, I don't know, when I